Hey y'all, Pancake here. D23, the ultimate Disney fan event, has come and gone, and today we are going to cover the highlights from the most anticipated presentation from the event, the Disney Experiences panel. We'll watch some footage I captured from within the Honda Center as the crowd went nuts to all that Josh D'Amaro announced, discuss some of my thoughts on the announcements, and take a first-hand look at some of the new models and displays that were revealed the following day at the Imagineering pavilion back on the show floor. So come along and let's check it all out. Well, I'm back after an eventful 3 days at the D23 Expo, and these videos are coming to you a little late because I fell sick to the D23 ick, unfortunately. I was bedridden all of last week, but I'm finally feeling better and ready to dive into all that I saw and experienced over those 3 days. Now, today, because of how much there is to discuss, while the news is still hot, I want to focus this first video on all the announcements that came out of the Disney Experiences presentation because there is just so much to cover. And I will have some other videos that will cover the other 2 days on things like the show floor, the shopping, the smaller panels. So if you enjoy this one, be sure to subscribe below so you don't miss those other ones. Now, before we dive into everything that happened in that presentation, let me first start off by saying how incredible the production value was for all of these presentations. You know, obviously this year was different than all of the past because they actually had the big tentpole presentations at the Honda Center. And this was a separate ticket purchase that was not included with the normal convention center ticket, but they definitely put a lot of that extra money back into making these presentations star-studded and show-stopping. I mean, they had a full orchestra for this panel that played live on and off throughout the entire 3-hour presentation. Meghan Trainor came out and performed Feed the Birds. They had pyro, confetti, Billy Crystal made an appearance, and we even got a whole song and dance number from Deadpool. It was just surprise after surprise, and I'll tell you what, it was the perfect venue for some of these incredible announcements that they talked about. So without further ado, let's talk about all that was announced. So how we'll go about this is I'm going to show you some footage I captured from within the Honda Center so you can kind of get the vibe that was felt inside that arena as all of us fans went nuts. And then I'll pop back in here and discuss my thoughts and then show off some of the footage from the models and details that they revealed the following day at the Imagineering pavilion. Y'all ready for this? All right, let's do this.
That experience, I'm so pleased to announce to all of you today, it's coming to Disney California Adventure. Now to talk more about it, I want to welcome from Walt Disney Imagineering, Ali Rubenstein.
Well, Josh, like you said, we're taking our guests to a whole new location on Pandora. For our new destination, we're inspired by the second movie, The Way of Water, as well as the upcoming Fire and Ash, and future Avatar films. They will discover dense forests full of incredible animals and bioluminescent flora, taking us all the way to the wide open seas of Pandora. If we lose our way, it can also be dangerous. Right? This is going to be a dynamic, intense, and emotional experience on a grand scale that we know our guests, all of you, are going to love.
Avatar Land coming to DCA. This one has already been teased by Bob and Josh over the past year, but we finally now know that it's coming to Disney's California Adventure out in Anaheim. It sounds like it will only have that one ride that looks to be a version of our Navi River journey here in Orlando, but on a much, much larger scale. And there's a lot of theorizing going around that this may use that same technology that the Pirates of the Caribbean out in Shanghai uses. That's basically like an omni-mover boat technology. Now that technology allows Imagineers to speed up, slow down, and rotate the boat as it moves through the water. Now based off the concept art, it looks like these scenes are going to be super expansive, and it seems like we'll also have some thrills within this, with like some predator creatures stalking us in the jungles of Pandora. Now the big question a lot of people are trying to figure out with this land, and honestly with a lot of things that were announced that night, is where will this be going within Disney's California Adventure? Now, plenty of people are pointing towards the Hollywoodland area that over the years kind of has dwindled in popularity. But even if it would go there, they would actually have to expand out a little bit into the bus loop area. You know, with the Disneyland Forward project approved not long ago, which was an initiative to get areas of Disneyland property rezoned for theme park specific development, I think we'll be seeing a lot of changes to areas all throughout the property that could possibly help with this expansion. So whether this goes in one of those newly rezoned areas or the Hollywood area, only time will tell. Unfortunately, they did not put out a lot to look at the Imagineering pavilion the next day for this. You know, I was hoping for a full-size model, but it is neat to see that we are getting some different looking rock work and environments for this West Coast version of Pandora. I really think that this is going to add a lot to DCA, and I am so excited to see what they do with this land. All right, on to the next announcement.
The first Coco ride to a Disney park. It's from the Disney California Adventure. Imagineers drew inspiration for this attraction from classics like The Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. You're gonna see, you'll hear, you'll feel Miguel's journey to the land of the dead as you travel through colorful, expansive scenes. Of course, we're bringing our skeletal cast of characters to life in a big way with the latest in audio animatronic technology. Now, work is underway and we'll be breaking ground in 2026 as we create this celebration of everything that we all love about Coco.
Ah, Coco. This one was a shocker to me. I did not hear any rumors about this one or see this one coming. You know, I think a boat ride fits this story perfectly. You heard Josh mention kind of how they'll be taking some inspiration from the classic dark rides like Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. And by that, I think he means like in the spirit of just being a bystander, watching the environment unfold around us, rather than something like Rise of the Resistance where we are part of the story. You know, the vibrancy of Coco is just going to lend itself so well to this, and I can't wait to see how they implement some of the new audio animatronic technology we've been seeing nowadays in this ride. I would love to see a full-scale huge Pepita flying somehow above us. I think that would be incredible if they could pull that off. You know, Josh did say that they will be bringing the cast to life in big ways, so maybe that's a hint. Now, I'll be curious if we hop straight into the Land of the Dead like we see in the concept art, or if we start back in Santa Cecilia. We'll have to see. But the great thing is we have a year of when they will be breaking ground on this, and that is 2026. This leads me to believe that maybe this will end up going in one of those expansion areas across Disneyland Drive that were part of that Disneyland Forward project. To me, it only makes sense that this could go across from where Pixar Pier is, since it's a Pixar film, but only time will tell. All right, now on to some exciting news for Disneyland Paris.
That's right, everybody. We're creating a major new Lion King attraction for Disneyland Paris. First, you're going to have a chance to explore the Pride Lands and a new area of the park with dining. It'll have shopping. You'll have a chance to meet some of the favorite characters. And then when you're ready, you'll head down into the caves beneath Pride Rock to follow Simba from cub to king. It'll feel like you stepped right into that movie.
Man, this one was a bit of a surprise for me too, and I'm happy for our friends across the pond because their soon to be Disney Adventure World, currently now referred to as Walt Disney Studios Park, is going through a big transformation with the addition of their Frozen Land not too far from this Lion King expansion. And from the model they showed off, it's going to be so lush and beautiful. You know, one thing that's interesting to me is, you know, with most other lands at Disney theme parks, there's an element of human presence, if you will, like in the form of buildings or man-made objects. Even at Animal Kingdom, the Africa section has buildings because the land is of a village in Africa. You know, there are obviously restaurants here, so they're gonna have to get creative because obviously in the Lion King, there aren't any humans, or at least humans that we see, of course, so we're stepping into their world. It'll be interesting to see what a restaurant there looks like and how they'll get creative with that. But there are no dates yet on when they will finish this one, but I'm excited to hopefully make a trip back out to Paris once this opens. Now on to, in my opinion, some of the best announcements that came out of this night, and those are the ones for Walt Disney World.
acre section of the park is set to begin this fall as we transform Dinoland USA into the tropical Americas. This work's going to begin in phases, making sure that you still have a chance to experience dinosaur one more time. Indiana Jones will be one of 2 signature attractions in the new land. To tell us more about what we're planning, please welcome the President and Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Imagineering, Mr. Bruce Vaughn.
The first attraction I worked on in 1993 as Imagineer was Indiana Jones here in Disneyland, so this is very special to me. But we are so looking forward to this one because you said, Josh, this is going to be a completely new story, different from any other Indy attraction anywhere we have in the world. It takes place in an ancient Maya temple that Indy has recently discovered. And he's heard rumors about a mythical creature that lives deep within this temple. Now, Indy being Indy, he wants to go see it himself. But the best part is, he's bringing us along with him.
Of course, nothing's going to go wrong here.
Depends how you define wrong, Josh.
So this is just one of the stories that we're telling in this new land, as I was saying moments ago. So talk to us about what else guests can expect when they visit the tropical Americas.
Yes. You'll enter a new town we're creating called Pueblo Esperanza, which means Village of Hope. Much like Harambe in our Africa land, this town feels lived in with a long, rich history. You'll find it in the heart of a lush rainforest, and the buildings there are in a classic Spanish style. There's even a large fountain in the center of town where people like to gather and tell stories. You'll also find a big hacienda, and in there, we're going to reflect the food and culture of the region. In a horse stable, one Esperanza resident, a woodcarver, has created a carousel featuring his favorite animals from Disney stories. Over on the other side of the town, there's a famous house.
Now, we've hinted at this before. Tonight, I'm happy to announce Bruce's team is bringing to life our first major attraction based on Encanto. What can you tell us here? What can you tell us about the story with the Madrigal?
Yeah, well, actually, this is really cool. So when you walk up to Casita, the whole house will feel alive just like in the film. Another reveal for tomorrow. Head over to our pavilion at the center because we're going to have the convention center. That's where it is. Now let me tell you about what's going on inside Casita. We're arriving on the day Antonio receives his magical gift, which I'm sure you all remember allows him to communicate with animals. And we're going beyond the movie story with our attraction. Casita has magically brought furniture to life for us to journey through the various rooms in the house, ultimately ending up in Antonio's room, which has been transformed into a rainforest. There we'll hang out with Antonio and all his animal friends. And of course, along the way, we'll bump into, Mirabelle and some other members of the family, like, perhaps one famous uncle.
Which is why I'm pleased to announce that this attraction will debut along with Indiana Jones in the entire land in 2027. You look a little nervous about that, but I'm confident. I know your team's going to deliver something great.
Hey, no pressure, right?
Well, we finally have confirmation that Encanto and Indiana Jones will be taking over Dinoland, and after hearing all of these details, I'm really looking forward to this land opening. And I'm excited too that it's not all that far out. 2027 is the opening year for both attractions, and we're almost done with 2024, so it'll be here before you know it. As Josh mentioned, it sounds like they're going to be closing and opening things in phases, so I imagine they'll begin the work on the Encanto attraction first, since the location of that ride is pretty much like an empty lot, so there really isn't a whole lot of prep work to be done there, and then probably follow suit with the Village and the Indiana Jones ride. And I have to say, I'm so glad that we are getting an original story for our Indiana Jones attraction and not a clone of the version out in Disneyland. I feel like it just gives the Imagineers some room to get creative and implement some new technology. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what this mythical creature Indy is searching for, but you have to imagine it might be some sort of like serpent creature since he hates snakes, so I feel like that would be a perfect fit. And you know, I think this Encanto attraction has some real potential too. Many have actually speculated that maybe it will be similar to something along the lines of Mystic Manor out in Hong Kong Disneyland, and I really think that that would be a perfect fit, you know, incorporating a trackless vehicle setup where we kind of have no idea where in the casita we could be headed next. The other thing is I really look forward to seeing just how much kinetics the exterior of the casita has, since in the movie, like the window shutters constantly open and close, and even the shingles like move in waves, so I feel like that could be really neat if they pull that off. This building in the model appears to be built up on a hill like in the movie, and I think that's gonna look really beautiful off in the distance and really act as a beacon to pull people into this area. Now this land is actually going to have a third attraction too. Within the village, it's going to be a carousel, and at the Imagineering Pavilion that following day, they actually had one of these on display. This one is of Kevin from Up, and I love this storyline they came up with of this local person from the town. They love Disney films, kind of carved all these and put them into a carousel. I think that's a neat way to incorporate all of this into that land. All right, on to the next announcement, one that's been a long time coming.
You wouldn't have nothing if you didn't have me. And I'm here because I've got some news, Josh, that's actually bigger than some shaggy blue monster that I'm a good friend of. Would you like to hear it? Did you really want to hear this? It's pretty good. They're going to build the first Monsters, Inc. land in a Disney park. And it's coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, in this new land, humans have been invited to visit Monstropolis, and they need our laughter to power the city. As part of this new Monsters experience, you're going to get to tour the Laugh Factory. I don't know about all of you guys, but the first time I saw Monsters, Inc., all I wanted to do was zoom through the door vault like Mike and Sully, right?
Oh, it's happening! Wow, the coaster attraction. Well, I mean, they've been rumoring this for a while.
We're gonna make that happen. You all are gonna go into the factory and experience the first suspended coaster ever in a Disney park. And you remember in the movie how those claws, they grab the doors, they hoist them up into the air, and they take them away? Yep, we're gonna do that too. And you're along for the ride. Now here's the great thing, construction on the project starts next year, and I can tell you that there is so much excitement and Imagineering for the land.
Wow. This one was a shocking one. You know, this had been rumored for so long. I mean, back even when I was like 12 years old, and I'm 28 years old now, so that's how long this has been talked about. I'm just so happy we are finally seeing this come to fruition. You know, the thing that Josh said that I think is a really neat component that gets overlooked here is how they will have like the claws regularly coming down and grabbing doors like it happened in the film. And I don't think that will happen to us necessarily in our ride vehicle, but just even that happening nearby on the scare floor will be so neat to see in person. Now, they did have a very vague model of the coaster layout in the Imagineering Pavilion that was cool to see, but it doesn't really necessarily tell us exactly where that load and unload area is going to take place within the Monsters, Inc. building from the film, but I really do hope we get a 1-to-1 scale replica of the building where we can enter the lobby, head to the scare floor, and where we board our vehicles there. I don't think I'm alone in saying how cool that would be. You know, this attraction, this land has great potential, but I am a little concerned about where this will go. And maybe by the time this video comes out, they've already revealed it, but I do hope that my Muppet Vision 3D gets spared, but only time will tell. Right, Kermit?
Yeah, you know, if it was up to me, I might put it in that animation courtyard area.
You know what? You're right. On to the next announcement.
Which brings me to Frontierland at the Magic Kingdom. The American West has always been about keeping your eyes on the horizon, believing in yourself and carving your own path and striving towards success. That goes from miners in the mountains, bears in the country, maybe a princess from the bayou, or a race car from the big city. That's why I'm happy to announce we're inviting Mayor and Lightning McQueen to a reimagined section of Frontierland. We're leaving Radiator Springs behind and we're heading off into the wilderness with 2 new Cars attractions. The first attraction is a thrilling race rally across the frontier. Here you'll get to climb the mountain trails, you'll dodge geysers, splash through mud holes as you take on the terrain. So you better bring your off-road tires for this one. And since we know how much young children love the whole Cars crew, our second attraction is geared especially for our smallest racers, something that the whole family can enjoy. The Imagineers have been planning for this for a while, and construction on this new Cars area, it'll begin early next year.
Wow.
You know, this one came out of left field for me. I knew that Beyond Big Thunder Mountain had been in the talks, but this was never one of those things to me that was on the list of possible additions. But first off, let me address the elephant in the room, which is the location. It has since been announced on the Disney Parks blog that this will be going where the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island currently sits. This news was definitely shocking and surprising to me. You know, I, along with many others, love the scenery and feel that the Rivers of America gives to this Frontierland area of the park. It's just peaceful and serene. But with that said, I do have faith in the Imagineers doing this right and doubling down on that peacefulness and sereneness of this area. When you look at some of the concept art for this, it is clear how much elevation they plan on adding. There are these large mountains that resemble those of the Pacific Northwest, with tall trees, waterfalls that cascade off the mountains. And if you've ever been to California Adventure, you know how peaceful that Grizzly Peak area is. Listen, change sucks, I know, but I say let's believe in the vision and see it through and make our judgment after it's complete. Now, moving on to the ride, I think this Cars attraction is going to be so neat. Given all of those elevation changes I mentioned, it's going to have those steep drops, high speeds, weaving in and out of the mountain. You know, Radiator Springs Racers debuted in 2012 out in Cars Land at Disney's California Adventure. Now this is development right now in 2024. That's over 12 years of innovation and technology since then, so I think they're really going to try to top what they did out there, which is already still an incredible ride. I cannot wait to ride this. And not to mention, we will also be getting lots more shopping and dining within this area, plus also a smaller attraction that will add to the kinetics of the land. And I know it's a hot take right now, but I'm excited to see what they do with this area. Now, on to the final Wicked announcement that came out of D23.
We love our Disney villains, right? Their evil ambition gives us endless possibilities to tell brand new stories. Which is why I'm so excited to announce we are building a villain's land at the Magic Kingdom. It'll have 2 major new attractions. Wow. It'll have dining, shopping, and so much more fiendish fun for you to explore. This is storytelling on a grand scale that only Disney can deliver.
Well, we finally got confirmation that we are getting the Villains Land. You know, this one I feel like has been very well received by the community. You know, this concept art that Josh showed off just looks incredible. And shout out to Greg Pro, the concept artist responsible for this piece. And actually, he's responsible for many of the other concept art I've showed throughout this video. I just love his illustration style, especially for this Villains Land. Now who knows if it will exactly resemble this, but the general vibe and idea looks just so cool, and I hope that it does look a lot like this. Obviously, this is going to be such a popular spot come nightfall at Magic Kingdom, and as you know, Florida can have some crazy lightning storms here, and I can't help but feel that that will be when this land really shines, as odd as that sounds. Now the real question is, what villains will we see represented here? I think it's safe to say Maleficent for sure, given the castle, but who else? You know, some that I would like to see would be Jafar, Dr. Facilier, Hades. Those are some of my favorites for sure. I'm also super excited the fact that Josh said we won't be getting just one major attraction, but two, and I feel like that is incredible news because the more major attractions that Magic Kingdom has, the more overall wait times will decrease across the park. One idea for the ride is definitely visible in this art, and it looks to be a roller coaster weaving in and out of the thorns, which then begs the question, what will the second attraction be? I really hope for an immersive dark ride with some animatronics of the different villains. Now I'm wondering if they will have an attraction where they're all teaming up together, since it kind of seems like this land won't be dedicated to only one. I also have to wonder, will we have some sort of Maleficent dragon just spitting fire on display in the land like they show in the concept art here? Only time will tell, but this land just can't come soon enough. Well, there you go. There were just some of the bigger announcements from this panel. There were so many other incredible announcements that I just didn't have time to cover in this, such as a new nighttime parade coming to Walt Disney World, the first audio animatronic of Walt Disney coming to a brand new show out at Disneyland. Plus, Disney Cruise Line is adding 4 more ships to its fleet, which is crazy. And that's not even all of the announcements. You know, overall this night was electric, it was exciting, and I think, as I had predicted in my preview video for D23, it was the best D23 to date. Now please be sure to subscribe below because I have so much more D23 content banked to show you in the coming weeks. You know, things are just really busy for me right now, and getting sick put me back a week, but I'm glad I could go over all these exciting announcements with you from the Experiences panel. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Remember to stay golden.